More than 60 years after the overthrow of the Hawaiian monarchy, Hawaii, native spelling, Hawaii, formally have become America's 50th country on August 21, 1959. The cluster of islands, located a few 2,400 miles off the U.S. mainland within the North Pacific, observed Alaska, the 49th access, by just 8 months. Hawaii's push for statehood had failed again and again for extra than half of a century, due in large part, scholars say, to discrimination against the island's enormous non-white populace. However, savvy political maneuvering, coupled with converting U.S. strategic pastimes in the Pacific for the duration of the Cold War, in the long run became the tide. Statehood hasn't been universally embraced at the islands. For some native Hawaiians, it reflects an unwelcome legacy of American imperialism, militarism and colonization in the Pacific location. From overthrow to annexation, Hawaii drew American interest for both economic and strategic reasons. After Christian missionaries traveling inside the early 19th century said favorable situations for planting sugar cane, white commercial enterprise traders arrived, shopping for up massive tracts of land. By the 1870s, treaties tied Hawaiian change an increasing number to the U.S. economic system, while the rich planter class worked actively to undercut the sovereignty of native rule. In 1887, in what got here to be referred to as the Bayonet Constitution, they forced King David Kalakaua, at gunpoint, to sign a constitution that drained the monarchy of electricity and correctly denied suffrage to all people who wasn't a white, English-talking property owner. On January 17, 1893, a small institution of white planters and businessmen efficiently overthrew the last Hawaiian monarch, Queen Liliuokalani. They had help from America's envoy to Hawaii who, without authorization, had conspired to location a U.S. warship off the coast, threatening invasion if the Queen resisted. Despite President Grover Cleveland's condemnation of the coup and verbal support for the Queen, the provisional government refused to step down, and hooked up the Republic of Hawaii. The new government pushed without delay for annexation, prompting 5 years of political debate. Proponents saw Hawaii as a gateway to Asian markets and a strategic mid-Pacific stopover for military and merchant ships. Some combatants saw annexation as burdensome, immoral and doubtlessly unconstitutional. Others feared paving a pathway to citizenship for the island's Polynesian, Chinese and Japanese residents at a time whilst racist immigration laws expressly excluded Asians. Annexation efforts stalled till 1898 when the outbreak of the Spanish-American War urgently underscored Hawaii's strategic fee as a base for battles within the Philippines. On July 7 of that year, Congress surpassed the Newlands Resolution, annexing Hawaii as a U.S. territory. In 1900, it was granted self-governance. Early statehood efforts go nowhere. Efforts to make Hawaii a complete nation started early and persevered for decades. Sanford B. Dole, the primary governor of the territory of Hawaii, and cousin to the Destiny Pineapple multimillionaire, to start with raised the possibility in his 1894 inaugural deal with. On February 11, 1919, the first bill for Hawaiian statehood became delivered to the U.S. House of Representatives. It died in committee. Despite investigations, reports and hints regarding the difficulty, statehood gained little traction. Instead, Hawaii retained its tenuous territorial popularity, with best one non-voting congressional delegate. That meant the islands acquired scant federal funding for crucial needs like infrastructure, transportation upgrades, conservation efforts and training. Hawaiian citizens couldn't vote for their governor or president. And at any time, Congress should abolish the territorial legislature and nearby governor and vicinity the islands underneath a resident commissioner or a Navy fee. The Cold War changes statehood calculus. By 1940, 2 of each 3 electorate in Hawaii supported statehood. World War II to start with stalled the system, but in 1947, the rush renewed in earnest. The Hawaiian Equal Rights Commission changed its call to the Hawaii Statehood Commission. Numerous Hawaii statehood bills handed either the U.S. House or Senate in 1947, 1950, 1951 and 1953. But none prevailed through both chambers. In 1956, after John Burns became elected as Hawaii's Democratic delegate in a Democrat-managed Congress, he succeeded in winning the support of Southern congressmen, especially Senate Majority Leader Lyndon Johnson and House Speaker Sam Rayburn. That proved critical, on the grounds that many so known as Dixiecrats still supported segregation and viewed Hawaii's multi-ethnic population as incompatible with their racially homogeneous, imaginative and prescient of America. For a few, although, Hawaii's large Asian populace was visible now not as an impediment. Instead, they have been probably critical intermediaries for America's developing trade and navy pursuits in the Far East, in particular at some point of the Cold War, asserts historian Roger Bell, writer of Last Among Equals, Hawaiian Statehood and American Politics. On January 3, 1959, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed the invoice into law admitting Alaska as the 49th country. Later that equal year, the Hawaii Bill, in the long run helped by means of being uncoupled from Alaska's bid, handed in the House via a 323-89 vote and within the Senate by means of a 76-15 margin. At ultimate, 18 years after Pearl Harbor, Hawaii's humans had been officially American citizens. Hawaii voters ratified statehood via an amazing margin of 17-1. A mid-sovereignty push, an apology. However, now not all Hawaii citizens celebrated statehood. Native Hawaiians have usually challenged Hawaii's incorporation into the U.S., from royalists staging a counter-revolution within the immediate aftermath of the coup to cutting-edge calls for decolonization. The native sovereignty motion were given a sizable improve within the 1970s from anti-military activism, according to Dr. Jonathan K. Kamakavivo Ole Osorio, Dean of the Hawaii-Nuukia School of Hawaiian Knowledge. In particular, resentment of the U.S. Army grew as activists risked their lives looking to reclaim Kaho'olawe Island, a sacred native region that had been environmentally decimated after being used as a bombing range. In 1993, 100 years after the coup, the U.S. government officially apologized to Native Hawaiians for overthrowing their kingdom and depriving them in their rights to self-will power. But at the same time as it mentioned that 1.8 million acres of land had been ceded without the consent of or compensation to the Native Hawaiian humans, or their sovereign government, the assertion offered no remuneration. It ended with the disclaimer, "Nothing on this joint resolution become intended to function a settlement of any claims towards the United States."